Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world today. I'm Alexis, your host for today's webinar on seamless success, an end-to-end DPC solution for fashion brands and partners. We're super excited to see all of you here as we dive into how Kinestry and Frontier are redefining DPC adoption in the fashion industry. So today we're really excited, really happy to welcome Giang from Kinestry and James from Frontier. Both are thought leaders with a wealth of expertise in digital product creation, DPC, and they're going to share how their solutions are empowering brands and their supply chain partners. So before we kick off, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourselves and your backgrounds. Thanks.
I guess I'll go first.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Alexis. Thanks, James. Thanks, Frontiers. I'm so honored to be here today. And I'm so grateful that everyone is here with us today to listen. And we're going to discuss all together. My name is Giang. I'm the Senior Project Manager's 3D Head of Kinestry. Kinestry is one of the leading 3D studio for apparel, footwear, and we are helping brands in their digital transformations. We plan our strategies. We'll support with the 3D manufacturings, the product developments. We had a privilege of working with iconic brands like the North Face, Dickie, Vans, Deckers, and Nike. So being around for years, we hope that today we're gonna bring our experience, we're gonna share more, and we're gonna exchange meaningful insights with Frontiers as well with all of our audience. James, yours.
Yeah, thank you, Giang. Thank you, Alexis. It's a pleasure to be here. James Costa, Vice President of Go-to-Market for Sales and Marketing at Frontier.cool. Frontier.cool is really a pioneer in the AI fabric digitization and digital asset management space. I've been with the company now for several months. I've got 25 years experience in the fashion and apparel industry, really on design, development, production, but as well as the fashion technology space. Looking forward to today's conversation. I think DPC is extremely critical and important in our industry. It is reshaping the way that we create products and creating a more sustainable future for really our industry and many. So with that, I will hand it back to Alexis.
Thanks, James. And I'm Alexis. I've been with Frontier coming up to 3 years. I've got coming up to 25 years of experience in global business marketing, B2B marketing, working for companies such as Google, WorldPay, and British Telecom. So I'm going to go through the agenda now. So let's take a look what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to start by exploring the latest trends and developments in DPC and its growing role in the fashion industry. Next, we'll dive into the common challenges and pain points that brands, companies are facing when they're adopting DPC technologies. We'll then discuss how the industry is transforming by addressing and overcoming these challenges, paving the way for a more efficient and sustainable future. We'll then go on to provide practical strategies and insights on how to achieve a seamless DPC implementation in your organization. We'll also highlight some inspiring case studies and success stories from companies that have successfully integrated DPC into their operations. After that, we'll open the floor to your questions. So this is your opportunity to engage with our experts and get personalized insights. And finally, we'll wrap up with some closing remarks and key takeaways today's session. So really excited to share this information with you, and we look forward to a great discussion. Thank you very much. Okay, James, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hand it over to you. So could you please provide an overview of the current status of DPC adoption among brands and their supply chain partners?
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. So to start, it's important really to note that the acceptance of DPC tools among stakeholders has really grown quite significantly in the last few years. The increase of the acceptance is due to the maturity of DPC technologies, as well as the external pressures that the fashion supply chain has faced, particularly when we look at things like COVID-19, right? And as a result, DPC has really become an integral part of the fashion landscape, right? Brands, retailers, and suppliers are now using DPC tools pretty much daily. Major companies as well are making significant investments in digital sampling, right, over physical methods. So that's a real big shift in the way things used to be, specifically before COVID-19. We'll talk about that in a minute. But according to Calypso's 2023 DPC survey, most product leaders in retail, footwear, and apparel are engaged in some form of DPC strategy and or implementation. And nearly all major retailers and brands in both the United States and Europe have invested in DPC to some extent, if you will. And this is really, to me anyway, a very clear indication of the industry's commitment to the digital transformation that we're seeing. And in terms of the size, right, DPC and 3D really product creation have grown to pretty much rival any enterprise technologies like a PLM, which is a product lifecycle management tool. And really, I think one of the most compelling reasons for this widespread adoption of DPC is its proven benefits, both in terms of efficiency and sustainability specifically, right? So DPC really offers a faster time to market, significant cost savings, and a reduced environmental impact, really by minimizing the need for physical sampling. When it comes down to it, that's really the primary reason and cause for all of that. And this not only accelerates the design and development as well as production processes, but it also aligns with our growing focus as an industry on sustainability. And when I talk about COVID-19 again, we know that this played a crucial role in that acceleration, right? Why did this happen? We all got locked indoors. We couldn't leave. So physical sampling and traveling to mills and suppliers and factories, all that became impossible. So digital assets really quickly transitioned from being somewhat of a luxury to really an essential tool that we all used as a means of survival to kind of make it through that time period. The pandemic just really pushed our industry to adopt digital solutions almost at an unprecedented pace. You know, from 2020, I think, to 2022, the maturity of DPC really rose by almost like 90%. I think it was 89%. That highlights the rapid growth and the importance of this transformation during this period. So now let's talk about some common challenges and pain points that companies encounter when adopting digital product creation. By the way, when I say DPC, I'm referring to digital product creation, for those of you that know. And what are we doing to overcome these pain points and challenges? I'm going to hand it over to Giang, and she's going to talk about some of these now, and then I'm going to actually finish on another point as well. Giang, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James. Absolutely agree with all of the information you shared earlier. And of course, opportunities comes with challenges. We try it out, we encounter challenges, but I do believe that we all have solutions for those challenges. So DPC comes with several key challenges. Today, I just want to mention and focus on the three critical challenges that we will be able to discuss within our limited amount of time today. First of all is cost. One of the biggest hurdle that many brands face when they adopt DPC is the high cost. That's a real deal. Implementing DPC technologies requires, significant investment in, let's say, skill resources, specialized equipment, software licenses, hardwares, and there are other costs as well, like training, onboarding, maintenance. So yeah, these high costs really make brands hesitate to fully commit and implement DPC. It's not, it's not just the initial investment. Ongoing costs for maintenance, for other updates can also be quite substantial. So to manage those costs, company need to really, really carefully plan the budget. And they also need to aim to target on certain low-hanging fruits to really gain back certain results, and then plan out the next portion of the budget, in phases. I think that will be better strategies. But yeah, cost is definitely something brands is making brands reluctant about adopting DPCs. So what is beside cost? Besides that cost, we have another challenge, which is the accuracies. Okay, so simulations technology is evolving, but we still have certain limitations in terms of accuracies, in terms of the touch and feel. Like we sometimes we chat with each other, we still want to touch the garment, we still want to feel it, we still want to wear it, try it on. So designers and product developers, they still want to feel the garment, and our customer as well, our consumers as well, they will still want to feel the garment. And if we bring in the digital solutions, they want us to assure them that the simulation is accurate. If it's not accurate, if it doesn't represent the correct fit, the correct fabric physics attributes, it doesn't represent the correct colors, then our users, our DPCs, adopters, they will start to lose confidence. So yeah, we rely a lot on how the technology evolve day by day. Finally, last but not least, is the process. Sometimes we rush because we see that other brands are adopting DPCs. So we rush to adopt it without really have a proper plan, without really work with the teams, work with other stakeholders, work with our partners, work with our internal team to see how DPCs can fit in certain organizations. I mean, each brands will have different way to implement DPCs. So many companies struggle with unclear iteration points. They don't know when and where they will be able to utilize DPCs and bring out the best result. So they struggle in mix the new workflow, the new technology into their current workflow, which they will need, I believe, other external professional help. And I think it would not be it can be a short term investment at the beginning, but it will have a long lasting result as everything roll out properly, and they will start to feel, to see, to realize the benefit of DPCs. So basically, it's essential for companies to map out their workflows, identify a clear iteration points for digital tools. Even talking about tools framework, each company will have different, variation of the tools. Even though it's still DPCs, we still need certain adaptations. So yeah, I mean, we cannot just simply bring the whole template that other brands use and apply on ourselves. We need certain adaptations. We need to have proper plan, proper communications, and then DPCs will be implemented in a much better way, bring out a much better result. So yeah, 3 challenges. Even though I just touched the surface of the solutions, but we have we have it in mind: cost, simulation accuracies, and finally is the implementations, the process iterations. As long as we tackle these 3, I believe that DPC's impacts is going to be very meaningful. It's going to be very impactful for brands to adopt. You have any other add-on, James?
Yeah, you know, for me, this is like a personal touch, if you will, in terms of what I've experienced. You know, you've got cost, you've got simulation, visual accuracy, process, right? These are all major problems. For me, the biggest one on a personal level is time, right? I
Yes.
think, right? I think as companies, when we look at time as a factor of success, it becomes a major challenge because there's only so many hours in the day. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at certain aspects of DPC, let's take digitization, for example. We're going to talk about that momentarily. The current adopted process for digitization of a fabric that's a standard that existed before companies like Frontier, if you will, was really to take a fabric and run it through about a 60 to 90-minute process to get your maps and to get your physical properties, right? To then insert
Mm-hmm.
that information into software, 60 to 90 minutes per fabric. When you multiply that times the number of fabrics that might be in any individual collection, time becomes a major challenge, right? So when you look at ways to solve that, you know, our industry is not unlike any other industry. We use technology to pretty much solve everything.
Yeah.
Technology has addressed the time issue and the time challenge by the introduction of things like AI, which is what Frontier uses, and other companies as well are starting to adopt this also, to take the fabric and run it through a process that is now 3 to 5 minutes. So when I look at 90 minutes versus 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm, you know, 6 to 10xing my efficiency, that's a major impact. So I think time is a major challenge. The way to overcome it is with technology like AI. And I think that we're going to see a lot more progression in areas like that, and ways to address the three that you mentioned as well. So what I'll do now is move on to really exploring the essential steps to achieving a digital product creation process, you know, through, you know, implementing that. How can you implement an efficient process? And we're going to focus on two key areas. And that is what I mentioned a moment ago, fabric digitization. And then we'll move into actual DPC, like the actual digital product creation. And I'll kind of hand it off to Giang to deep dive on that, but I'll do some high level points on that as well. So the DPC process really starts with fabric selection. As you see the title, it's sustainable fabric selection, because ideally, if it's conducted digitally, it becomes a more sustainable practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can select those fabrics up front digitally before I ever touch anything, which means, to give you a bit of a parable, when I would typically order fabrics from a mill, they'll send me a box of like 100 fabrics, which sounds great to a designer, right? I get all these things to sift through. It's like it was like Christmas. The problem with that is when they're sending several boxes throughout the year, that's extremely expensive and very wasteful, right? So if you do this digitally first and I make my selections, I get a much more curated selection to then draw from, and that saves the mill money, that saves the designer's time and money, it saves everybody essentially, and it's better for the environment. So the first sustainable practice here in terms of fabric selection I really want to talk about is the mood board tool that we actually have in Textile Cloud for Frontier. And what that is really an innovative tool that allows you, a designer or a brand, to upload a mood board. And on the left-hand side, that's actually what that is. I uploaded a mood board into Frontier, and I was able to then receive fabric suggestions from mills and suppliers based on my creative vision, right? So I uploaded that, and then on the right-hand side, I got this assortment of fabrics that said, hey, here's the mood that you're going for. And you saw that I put quilted fabrics and florals and pastels. Here's what we have that might meet those requirements that you can then turn into products within your collection. And this is a very useful tool, and it's just the first example. The second example that I want to go into is called MetaFabric. MetaFabric is something that we just recently launched at Frontier. It is our kind of designer tier, if you will. It's $39 a month. And for that, what you get is you get a curated selection of fabrics every single month that are directly delivered to your inbox. So as a designer, I literally get all of these every month added to my inbox, and they're kind of based on trends, right? And on material direction. And what this does is this is kind of a easy way for me to simplify my process if I'm a young designer, especially, and I'm kind of looking for that trend analysis meets fabric selection. So to have that delivered to me is another way that, once again, you're just kind of sustainably sourcing. And that's at the very beginning of this process, as I mentioned. Now, as we move on and we start to talk about actually digitizing those fabrics, digitization is really the foundation of an efficient DPC process. And that simply involves converting that physical fabric sample into a high quality digital asset. And here's how you achieve that in something like Frontier. Like, first, you've got your starting point, right? Your at home, at office scanner. This is where the journey of a fabric really starts to begin to transition from its physical form into what we would consider the digital asset. A high resolution scan, okay, captures the texture, captures the color, all the intricate details of the textile. And then after that scan, we drag and drop that into Textile Cloud's platform. From there, we use a very sophisticated algorithm that we actually developed with MIT. And that's where the magic really starts to happen, right? This is where within 3 to 5 minutes, our software analyzes and processes a scan fabric, and it creates a detailed set of maps. We know those as the maps that we use inside of our 3D software. These aren't just static images, though. What you've got to realize is this is really a comprehensive kind of digital map assortment that captures the essence of the physical appearance and properties of that fabric. And those maps would include something called a base map, right? That's our base texture map, a displacement map, a roughness map, a normal map, and we're even adding transparency and metalness maps actually in 2 weeks. So we take all of these maps, and now that we've got this kind of high quality, what we would consider digital asset, because it has all of the digital information that allows you to create the proper representation. Here's how you then kind of streamline that process to get from the digital maps into a working garment. And like I said, John's going to deep dive on this, but what we suggest is using really 3D software like a Browseware or a Clo. That's going to handle complex fabrics and simulations, and that's why we use those programs. There are other 3D softwares out there that you can use. Those are just 2 that we happen to suggest. And that really allows you to get the correct drape. You're going to put these on 3D avatars. That ensures the accurate fit and visualization. And this really is leveraging digital prototyping, right, before you ever get to physical samples. And that is 2 things, right? That is quick, which I talked about before, time being a problem.
Yes.
And that's sustainable, right?
Yes.
So that becomes a major benefit. And Jiang knows exactly what I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm going to talk to her here in a moment, because the integration of all of these technologies, and you can also attach them to things like PLMs and ERPs, this creates your DPC process, right? This is really what allows you to generate high quality digital representations before you cut one piece of fabric. And that is so important to our industry. And I'm going to hand it off to Jiang now to go further into this process, because that's what Kinestry is all about. So Jiang, go ahead, take it over.
Thanks a lot, James. So yeah, but you had some really good points, some good summaries of what it should be done after the digital material was created. And on your points, I want to reiterate a little bit, because I was very amazed that your digital material solutions can get it ready for us within 3 to 5 minutes. Because I still recall back then when Kinestry took care of a few seasons of our clients, we needed to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort coordinating with other stakeholders, with the mills, with the sourcing teams, with the digital materials team, just to get the swatch sent over from Asia to our designers in the US, and then get it scanned, get it chosen. It was so time consuming, and we had to use a lot of fabric substitutes. After that, we need to take note, we need to replace when the actual fabric is ready. So it was super time consuming. And with your solution, I believe that it's gonna make, Kinestry job much easier. Um, so yeah, back to what we're gonna do after the digital material is ready. And there is no such a fixed formula of how the 3D work can contribute into the whole product development process. We're trying out multiple approaches, and it really depends on the brands, how they want to explore and how they want to slowly replace the physical processes with the digital processes. But the key point that James also touched on earlier is to save time, to replace the physical prototyping with the digital prototypings. So some brands they will replace the 3D work at the stage after tech back, after patterns are already created. Then they take the tech back, the pattern, the digital material, do up the finals, 3D visualizations before they are confidently ready for the final prototypes. I mean, physical prototypes. But some other brands, they can be even more courageous. Like our client right now, we're working with one brand and they are very agile. Their mindset is very agile oriented, and they they want us to just take the sketch, some measurements, guidelines, and drop off everything on 3Ds, using 3D's visualizations, the 3D digital twins to act as a guideline for the patterns. So what Kinestry do is to take that sketch, take the measurement guidelines, and then we create the 3D models, we create the patterns, the DXF patterns, and then we will pass it back to the technical designers. Only when the technical designers are happy, then the final physical products, final physical prototype will be created. So it saves a lot of times. Everything happened within 1 week. Can you imagine that? One style, everything within 1 week. And after a week, they will be able to have their physical prototypes, kickstarted by the factories. So yeah, it really depends on different brands, but over in Kinestry, we are very flexible in adapting DPC in different iteration points during the whole product development process of our clients. So but okay, bearing in mind all of the challenges that I mentioned earlier, we have cost, like James Solutions already touched on TAMS, and Kinestry is also offering solutions to tackle cost. How can we make cost become something more acceptable, more affordable for brands, especially small brands, to adopt DPC? We introducing flexible models called FTEs, which is full-time employees. So we utilizing our offshore teams, that include 3D apparel specialists with years of experience. We also provide a full package of equipment, licenses, expert resources, as as a one-stop solutions at a very reasonable rate. The flexibility is here even more, enhanced by our multiple contract terms options that fit in, different project durations. Because imagine that brands, when they enter a new seasons, they need a lot of, they need a bigger capacities. But when they exit the seasons, there will be I would say the low key period. Brands would not need so many team members in their DPC teams. So our model allow brands and their partners, not just brands, to scale up and down as they enter or exit new seasons. And brands will benefit by not needing to procure expensive hardware or software licenses. Just to take note, browseware and Cloud 3D licenses are definitely not cheap. And they also don't need to onboard or train or manage the staff who might be underutilized during the off-season period. So these solutions that Kinestry is bringing directly tackles the challenge of cost, which will hope that we will be able to enable more and more brands to adopt DPC, which is gonna be our futures of the fashion industry. I always believe that. One last thing that I want to mention is if we have a team of specialists that are that is a very critical, elements of the implementation, but that is not enough. Remember, I mentioned earlier that the iterations, the implementation, the strategies is something also act as a deciding elements whether we're gonna succeed or not. So additionally, Kinestry also think about that, and we offer our consulting services acts as a guideline for the digital transformation of brands because some brands are very new to this concept. And it's very important that we are able to guide them through with all of our industry experience. We work with different brands. We encounter together with our client different challenges. We explore how we overcome those challenges. We're gonna bring those experience back to our our current and our new clients. We guide them through, we assess their current workflow, we see what went well, what went wrong, how can we improve it, and we adapt the tool, the framework, the workflow for every single client. So by leveraging all of those experience, we make sure that the kickstarting point of their implementations will be as smooth as possible, and it's gonna equip brands all of the facilitations they need to navigate DPCs with confidence and agilities. So yeah, with all of the ongoing services, Kinestry is very glad that we start to see some success from our client, and I would love to share more about that, so that we all can understand what is really happening during the real case studies here. So, all right. So I would love to mention today one case study that we had with VF Corp. We support VF Corp. Here we support their four main brands, the North Face, Timberland, Dickies, and Vans during a few seasons. We had 23 3D artists, 3D specialists working alongside with their DPC teams. And every seasons that lasts about 1 quarter, but 3-4 months, we achieve that about hundreds of you can see that hundred of style created. Besides that, for VF, they already have their DPC's processes very well established. So they need us to support them in two different services. One is 3D creations, another one is 3D quality assurance. So a big portions of VF 3D works come from their factories. But you know that factories, they have different level of capacities, they have different level of capabilities. They also will have different challenges in terms of meeting VF quality standards. So Kinestry also helped VF in assuring that all qualities are calibrated. Every single submission back to VF is checked, is calibrated, is having a consistent qualities. So yeah, besides that, we also with our 23 artists, we're also helping VF with we were helping VF with certain R&D demo tests because we constantly try out different processes. So yeah, it's a new thing for us. We learn every day. We try out new things, and we evolve from all of the test results. So yeah, that's what we achieve with VF. Another, but VF is one example of brands with very well established DPC's workflow. I want to mention another case study where our client is a little bit newer to DPC concept, which is Deckers. So Deckers consultants, they collaborated closely with Kinestry consultants. We collaborated closely with Deckers teams, and what we have done is we run through all of their current processes. We interview other stakeholders in their organizations, and we understand their pain point. We understand where they can do better, and we helped them. We work together with them to build up all of the tool and framework and workflow that they need to initiate their DPC journeys. After 3 months of project deliveries, the team was able to start rolling out, DPC in a much more efficient way. They start to, be able to turn all of their sketches of their very, very early stage of product development into 3D works. And they saved 3 rounds of physical prototypes this ongoing season. And I'm so glad to know that the partnership with Deckers is still ongoing, and we hope to have more and more success with Deckers. I also think that not only success story from Kinestry, but also success story from Frontiers will be very interesting for you to explore. So I'm gonna pass back to James. James, you mind sharing some more success story from Frontiers and?
Yeah, absolutely. First, appreciate that run through. I love, VF Corporation's massive. Deckers, a huge corporation as well. So the fact that you are helping these companies navigate the DPC waters is substantial, right? Brands and designers need to understand that companies like Kinestry are really tools to utilize, right? To help understand process, implementation, and just even, what is DPC and how does it all work and come together. So you're doing a massive service out there, and you are part of the process, and really an integral part for a lot of businesses today. So with that said, I'm going to move on to a success story here at Frontier that I love highlighting. It's really one of the incredible designers that we've had the opportunity to work with that utilizes Frontier. He's an ex-Adidas 3D designer. His name's Kevin Chow. I'm really excited to kind of share his inspiring success story. He's extremely talented, and he uses Frontier's Textile Cloud actually to really achieve remarkable success in the digital fashion world. I mean, these are some of his renders. He transformed his entire process utilizing Frontier's extensive library of high-quality digital assets, as well as creating his own. And these fabrics, as I mentioned earlier, come with the texture maps, come with the accurate physical properties that allows him to craft these garments that really look and behave like the real fabrics, right? So he's able to achieve massive, incredible results. I mean, look how good he really is. This is a 3D render, which when he sent this to me initially, I thought it was a photograph. That's really how far he has come. He's utilizing digital technologies, digital processes to create hyper-realistic garments, really capturing the essence of his creations quite accurately. And the platform's seamless integration with his tech stack allows him to do a few things, right? Allows him to quickly iterate, and it allows him to apply these digital fabrics, make the adjustments, and really achieve these visual results in real time. And even more astounding, I mean, he has really done incredible things in terms of his achievements. He actually participated in the Clo Connect Sun Maya Club Maya Core contest, and he transformed their 2D character Maya into a 3D avatar, and then created a ton of designs around that. And he actually won 3 consecutive times within that. And we played a crucial role in that success. And how did we play a role, right? What are the 3 things that I could name that we did? Well, first, we provided high quality digital fabrics that, once again, allowed him to create realistic and kind of stunning garments that look and act like the physical counterparts. The AI-powered fabric analysis ensured that those fabrics draped and moved in the correct ways. And then that seamless integration that I talked about enabled quick iteration and real-time visualization. So, you know, Kevin is just one of our many success stories. But he's just someone that I think really understands this process and is utilizing all the tools out there. And I would suggest that anyone listening kind of do the same and follow suit, because they're really going to help your process, and they've helped mine as well. So with that being said, we are going to turn it back over to Alexis. It's time for some Q&A.
Thanks, James. I just want to say thank you to both of you. It's been absolutely fascinating, and thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with me and the audience. So now I'd like to open the floor for some questions. I know we've had 2 through already, so please feel free to type them in into the chat, and we will go through and address them. So the 2 that we've got already, James, we've got, how can we even start to adopt and get going with DPC?
Yeah, I mean, look, it starts with a clear goal and vision statement, which really benefits a brand that wants to achieve success at every stage, right? Communication, you know, within that vision statement across all stakeholders is also critically important, to make sure that everyone is aligned. And then I would probably start with a category, like to pilot. You know, if you're a full collection, pick a category, pilot that category. You know, don't try it on something that's like super critical and time sensitive. I would start it with a category that you're like, you know what, this is something we're really comfortable with. This isn't time sensitive. And then map out the process and get your stakeholders to buy in. I think really the major part of that is the stakeholder buy-in. John could probably attest to that. Without that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. First of all, stakeholder buy-in is critical. It's really deciding elements here. And then I totally agree with James that we should run a pilot. We should never ever try out on actual seasons where deadlines is chasing behind us, and in actual season where you have a mixtures of different type of garment categories. You have simple styles, you have complex styles. It's going to be very hard for you to evaluate and to measure the output of how DPC is making, of the differences that DPC is making. So with a pilot, you'll be able to predefine which garment categories you want to focus on. And here I always encourage our client to try it out with something basics, something that you have it repeated again and again in every seasons. You just change the fabrics, you just change the color, change the graphics, something like tees or basic shirt, basic short. And you build, you know, you can build up a 3D blocks libraries and run it out. And don't be scared of you know, failure during the pilot, because it's a pilot, so it meant to learn. It meant for us to have lesson learned. So if we fail and we learn some lesson, our pilot is actually successful, because if we learn our lesson and we get experience at an earlier stage, it's gonna help us a lot when we roll it out in our actual seasons. So yeah, pilot, focus on lesson that we learn, focus, don't always aim for success in the pilot, aim for the lessons. And finally is focus on, the basic styles, define several garment categories that you want to try out first, don't try it on, the whole range of garment categories. It will not make sense at the beginning stage. So yeah, just some add-on from my side. But I think that is from my actual experience working with brands, and I saw that brands gain more and more success with that strategies when they started.
Thank you. We've got another question about when it all goes wrong, when brands adopt DPC and they fail. Why can it fail? Why does it fail? What are the reasons behind those failures?
What do you
there's
think
a lot-
is the factor behind those failure, James?
I think there's a lot of contributing factors. It's either bad process, lack of vision, communication, misunderstanding the tech,
Yeah.
training, you know, a lot of
Wrong
that.
target.
Yeah, I think it probably boils down to, at the end of the day, though, probably a misalignment from the stakeholders in how long the process will probably take to learn and implement and run correctly, figuring out that entire process, right? The stack as well. But you're more qualified to really answer this because you're dealing with it day in and day out from brands. Like, why do they fail if before they meet someone like Kinestry? Why have they failed in DPC?
I mean, during our interaction with brands, what we observe from our brands, usually they failed when they rush to implement DPCs without really understanding what DPC is and how DPC is gonna benefit them. So they haven't really identified how they want DPC to reshape their organizations. And lack of technologies advancement, like lack of frontier solutions can also be one factors of the failure. Imagine if you have to wait for so long for the actual fabric to be digitized. It can also demoralize and really push back the willingness to adopt DPC, right? If you have to, you say that DPC is there to save your time, but then at the end of the day, you have to wait long for the digital materials. Then what's the point? So now with the advancement of technologies, things like what Frontier is offering, definitely it's gonna minimize the failure how to say possibilities. But yeah, behind the technologies, we still need a proper planning. I always focus on that proper planning, proper communications, good strategies, clear visions, and a good, implementation plan. So yeah, failure is, to be honest, like I said earlier, something sometimes unavoidable, but how we learn from the failure is more important. I hope that my input is is answering the questions.
Yeah, no, that was very thorough. And
Absolutely.
Alexis, I don't know if you saw there was one more that came through around our online fabric library. Do you want me to read that out?
Yeah, take it. Yeah, thanks,
It
James.
says, is Frontier building an online fabric library that designers can use, and will your fabric mill customers be available to brands through this online fabric library market? It's yes. The short answer to that is so. There are currently almost 20,000 fabrics on Frontier's platform. Those are available to brands and designers to utilize, and those are typically coming from mills. We even have a communication tool that if I find something interesting, I can then communicate with that mill or that supplier to get information around that fabric, like minimum order quantity and availability and color options and price. So it becomes a sourcing tool in that sense. So that was a really good question, and I hope that was a thorough enough answer. And I believe that is all the questions that we have. So Alexis, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, James. If anyone's got any questions that they come up with a bit later on, feel free to get in touch with us. I'm going to share all of the contact details for Frontier, for Kinestry on the last slide. So let's wrap things up. So today we've really explored how an end-to-end solution from Kinestry and Frontier can really empower brands and designers to implement DPC more effectively, more efficiently. So I want to take a moment to thank both of you again, to Giang and James, for sharing their super valuable insights. It's really great to get this information from people who are on the front line, so to speak. Really, really worthwhile conversation that we've had today. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. If you're interested, and I'm sure you're going to be, in seeing how these solutions can transform your operations, we'd urge you to book a demo with Frontier and Kinestry. I'll show you how to on the final page. And with this demo, it's really interactive. You can discover firsthand how the technologies can really streamline your workflows, reduce the costs, enhance the accuracy of your digital assets. So together we can really drive innovation forward. We'd like to let you know that we do have these webinars on a really regular basis, once a month at the moment. So please stay tuned for more webinars where we'll continue to explore the latest trends and technologies. And I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, and we look forward to helping you on your digital transformation journey. So if we could just leave on the last slide, and we've got a bunch of contact information, we've got emails, websites, etc. Scan the QR code to book a demonstration. We'd love to chat with you at a later stage. So if we just leave that one going, and then people can jot the information down, that would be great. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks
Awesome.
a lot, Alexis.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Giang, and thank you, Alexis. This was amazing. Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks, James. Thanks, Alexis. Hope everyone have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.